This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Heart, determination, courage, fearlessness, a little bit of magic. These are just some of the ingredients that are needed to pick up a title. Trust, maybe even a little bit of fortune is going to be needed. Because for these drivers, over so many different types of disciplines, in some brilliant Australian touring cars, this is the series that really does elevate you to that next level. If you want to make it, well, this is your first proving ground on the ladder of Australian touring car racing. It is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, 4.36 kilometers, 13 turns worth of track, and it is the Parramatta Isuzu Ute, the AOSC series, which are in some beautiful V8. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you around the world watching on the iRacing Esports Network, because this is a SimSpeed TV production, and it's Jake Sperry in the commentary booth, joined by Ross Rizzo alongside me. And Ross, we are currently in the midst of qualifying at the moment. They've got 20 minutes open season. They have as many laps as they want, including after the checkered flag falls. They will get one final lap to go, but Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it's a track which is run so often. It's a street circuit, but more importantly than that, it is effectively an icon of North American racing.
Absolutely. Welcome everyone to the first round of this season. We welcome Parramatta Isuzu on board as a sponsor as well. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it is a street circuit, but not in the traditional sense. We normally see very bumpy road surfaces and 90-degree corners, sharp turns. But what this track lacks in those kind of sharp corners, it makes up for in these ridiculously difficult chicanes and curbs, and of course the concrete lining the sides wherever you go. So there's risk around every corner. So it's going to be really cool to see how the guys wrestle these cars around this fantastic circuit.
It's a man-made island here at Montreal, made for the Olympics back way when, but in qualifying at the moment, there is one person who is head and shoulders above the rest of the field at the moment. 2:09, Brett Loxton, 1:35.082, half a second clear of Jordan Ross in second position. Brett Loxton loves this circuit. We know that all too well, Ross. We saw in V8 Scops first round of the season a front row start, but here he's proving that this is his track, and he is a cut above at the moment.
Yes, absolutely, and let's not forget that amazing drive to, on the podium during the Endurance Cup last year with Griffin Gardner. So yes, Brett does have a bit of a history here, and half a second on the field is absolutely phenomenal. And you're looking at guys like Jordan Ross and Mullen McMullen and Brady Myers, who are no slouches to the player. It's showing how good he is, but look how close it is from fourth down.
It is mightily close from fourth down. The drivers in the 1:35.7 bracket, there are 4-2. It's split by half a tenth of a second. Add another because Nick Cummings has just moved up into fourth position on a 1:35.726. So now from fourth to ninth, It's Cummings, Myers, Haber, Webster, and Jack Boyd, along with James Mackay. Mackay could get him out of the situation. 5 drivers split by 0.5 of a second. 2 of those former TTL sim racing drivers. And while TTL Esports, it was a massive shame and a bombshell over the last couple of days, the dissolving of one of the oldest teams in sim racing. Now those drivers who were in that team are racing more than just for points here today, Ross. Would you say they're racing to try and get drives?
To be fair, I think most of them have done a lot of speaking for themselves, I guess, over the last few seasons. First of all, to be picked up by a juggernaut like TTL in the first place speaks very highly of what an amazing team thinks of your talent and your potential. So the likes of Brady Myers and Nick Cummings probably aren't too worried about that they will get picked up. It's just who they want to get picked up with. And with the endurance series of the Supercar Online Premier Series, they'll probably want to make sure they're in the team the environment that suits them best.
They certainly will do. Brady Myers moves up to 2nd position in qualifying on a 35.4. Griffin Gardner goes up into 5th place. Cooper Webster currently in 8th position. Kyle Stokes finds himself in 12th. Michael Taliancic in the 777 is in 11th position right now. It is a massive grid right now, in 2nd all the way down to 22nd at the moment, split by just 1.1 seconds in this qualifying at the moment. But so many names who could try and make a push up through the field. Don't count out Michael Barron. He's a little down the order in 17th, but he has been up there as high as top 5s in previous seasons.
Yes, Michael Barron, I believe, is a bit of a veteran of iRacing, but only recently returned, and has been showing some fantastic pace in these supercars. Also has noticing a couple of other unfamiliar names. We've got the likes of Robert Hooper, Tom Freer, who had a decent showing in pre-qualification during Monza. We've got the likes of Jacob McKnight, David Sanford, and David Kinman also in the mix, who have had who probably want a strong start to the season given their recent rise in form.
Well, up to 11th position goes Stephen Varga in another Mark 1 car. He gets himself into that double 1 spot on the front row, or front of the 6th row, shall we say, in these Aussie touring cars. But this top 10 is now split by just 0.8 of a second, and Jack Boyd has gone up into 2nd for the Gone Rogue Motorsports team. And Jack Boyd here is someone who is lighting the world when it comes to this series. This is the one where I think he's got the best shot of being competitive in. And when Jack Boyd has an opportunity, surely he doesn't relinquish it at all.
Absolutely. Jack's been super impressive in the last few months, and I think he's due for a bit more. I feel like he's got a bit more to prove, though. There's a little bit left in him to get some results, especially with the likes of Jackson, Susel, and Harlow. They've had some amazing battles together, but Jackson not here tonight from what I can see. This is a good chance to see if he can get some an early advantage on the board, but I'm sure the likes of Brady Myers, Jordan Ross, Brett Loxton, and Marlon McMullen, reigning series champion, by the way, looking to do the very same.
Very much so. A couple of drivers who have not set lap times that are representative. They include Brenton O'Brien, Cam Dance, Bo Albert, Mitchell McLeod, Andrew Gilliam, and Matt Stratford, all of whom who have yet to get themselves up on the board for the time being, as a few drivers look to make some pushes. Bruce Kiley goes on to a flying lap at the moment. He's down in 37th position right now, and he's looking to try and make that push. The likes of Nick Cummings in 9th position. I've just seen an eye on Blake Purdy, the young Blake Purdy, who you've had a little bit of a tangling with in the last couple of weeks, Ross. He's gone up to 6th.
Yeah, I kind of walked out with my tail between my legs on that one. It was deemed a racing incident, but, you know, it was hard racing, and, you know, well done to him for his drive in Split 2, and I'm sure we'll see him in Top Split very, very soon. Actually, we saw him in Top Split in round 1 at this very circuit, so we should see a very interesting performance from Blake Purdy tonight.
We certainly should, and Blake Purdy is really running on good form. He was nowhere in pre-qualifying, but in this qualifying session, he has found something, a 35.6. He did make top split here in V8 Scops a few months ago, but Andrew Gilliam wakes up on his first flying lap and goes immediately up to second position. Still 4/10 off of Brett Loxton, which is more rather 3.5 at the moment, but Andrew Gilliam moves himself up into that magical second position, which everyone has been fighting for at the moment.
Yep, and it's absolutely still up for grabs, but Andrew, great lap there. He's had some phenomenal form recently as well, so I think second is very fitting for his pace, but he's got guys only less than a tenth behind him, the likes of Jack and Brady, who can lodge him, so he's going to need to push on, even if he doesn't think he can catch Brett.
There are a few drivers who have also made a few team changes. Scott Gamble is one of them in the 543. He's jumped over from SG1 to Hyperdrive. Jamie Stovall joining him as well. So those two will be looking to try and showcase what they've got. Gamble's in 42nd. Jamie Stovall currently 30th right now. Both of them with great opportunities to make positions in this race.
For sure. I'm pretty sure they're just enjoying being out there at the moment. I believe they're second split drivers in when we talk about the Premier Series, so they'll be used to fighting in the mid-pack for every single bit of road that they can. So they'll be fun to watch tonight.
Drivers who are maybe surprisingly down the order include 248, Thomas McMillan, part of the Mega Black Racing team. He's currently in 18th at the moment on a 36 flat. He'll be looking to try and find a second to get to the top, or a little bit more. That lap time does not count, and he will pull it off and try and get something in. We've got 5 minutes coming up on the clock to remain, so really not much time to get going, as Sean Thompson, who's 17th, has spun it at Sebastian Vettel corner, turns 3 and 4. So he'll have to reset and get back out again. But there are drivers who are looking to make that push, and quite honestly, I think the field is so stacked that there will be names who will be surprisingly down the order. Brad Rattu in 20th is one of them.
Oh yes, absolutely. Scotty McQueen has shown good one-lap pace. Damian Johnston as well in 31st. Bruce Kiley, we've paid attention to him before. Matt Morris is a fair way down. Oh, Adam Zatinger for the Logitech G Altus Esports team. Now, he's been on a long hiatus and looks like he's making his return tonight. It's great to see him back. Welcome back, Adam. Unfortunately, he's down in 36th, but I think, you know, being so far away from, being away from the sim for so long, he can be forgiven for not having quite the top 30 pace.
150.8 that last time by. That was an out lap, so he'll go to start his flying lap. Was a little tentative when it came to the final chicane, and he's very tight and narrow through turn 2, as you traditionally are with a corner that falls away the way that turn 2 does. The slight rise on this very flat land as he goes through 3 and 4, and he gets a little bit of grass as well, so he may have just got an off-track instant point. He has to be careful about picking those up. Track conditions, though, at the moment, they are a cool 26 degrees at the moment. Winds are blustering in from the southwest at 21 kilometers an hour as we find ourselves in Quebec at the moment, the French-speaking part of Canada. Just caught an eye on David Kinman. He's moved up into 18th position. A big gain from him, as Gilliam right now has just not been able to put a flying lap together there.
I've also noticed Harley Haber down in 12th has dropped out of the top 10. He'll want to get a hurry on to get back inside where he belongs. He only needs to find 1/10 to find, looks like 5 positions, and he's got the draft of McMillan just ahead of him as he crosses the line. Is it an improvement?
Oh,
it is up to 6th place.
35.582, that's perfect. Kyle Stokes in the 888 moves up to 9th place. He was leading the championship for the majority of last season, but fell away at the pointy end. He gets himself up into a fantastic qualifying. That bumps Cooper Webster, the young Cooper Webster, down into 12th position. Just get an eye on this. 2nd to 12th here, Ross. Split with 3 minutes to go in qualifying by 2.5 tenths of a second.
How can you not love this? It's a combination of this car, the series, and of course it being a street circuit. You get these amazingly tight qualifying sessions for a lap that's longer than 90 seconds. It's pretty phenomenal. But I'll be shocked to see if Cooper Webster stays outside the top 10 for much longer.
Well, we will be shocked and we will be surprised, but there are drivers who are looking to maybe bring that surprise factor, showcase what they've got. Brian Borg is in 16th position at the moment, and he's only just getting back in. He may not have time to get out and set a flying lap. Jacob Knight down in 26th position. Maybe there's a little bit more for him in the Exto Gaming car. Rounds himself through the final chicane. Will not get any draft from the Mark 1 car in front. Gary Cooper, no, it wasn't. There was one before that who decided to pull off, but Jacob Knight, 53.5. This is his flying lap, and he's only got 2 laps from here. He's only got a couple minutes. Cam Dance gets back out onto track, and he hasn't set a lap time yet, so he'll be looking for some one-lap magic to pull himself up through the order. Nobody wants to be starting in about 49th position where Cam Dance is at the moment, and he's taking all the shortcuts to try and get himself forward. Yep,
we know that this track will bottleneck quite crazily from about, probably 5th down going into the first, the S's for the first time. So you want to be ahead of that, or at least be able to react to any shenanigans that occur on the first lap. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but the incentive for drivers to get that little bit, there's few more positions in qualifying, is to potentially avoid the chaos on lap 1.
We are within 2 minutes and almost within 1 minute of this all going wrong. Who's out on track? Andrew Gilliam in 2nd. Brady Myers is there in 4th. Nick Cummings down in 14th position, but 3/10 back only right now. Taliancic is out on track at the moment, and Harley Haber too. Everyone is just looking for a time, as is Jack Boyd at the moment in 3rd position, and he takes the big wide line coming through the hairpin to give himself as much of a run for that chicane, and he's going to try and get himself going. So he's got himself 45 seconds to make sure that he gets over the line. Cam Dance looking to start his time. What about Jordan Ross? We haven't talked about the champion much as he looks to make his push. What can the 143 do in defense? And it's going to be starting a lap then. Final lap for him. He's got 30 seconds, Ross. Now it's about do or die laps.
Yes, again, he doesn't need to find a hell of a lot of time to elevate himself. We're on board at the moment with Brady Myers, ex-TTL. He'll be looking to get a little bit further up the field. What's his lap time? Oh, wow, fantastic job.
Brilliantly done, 35.2. Bridges the gap back to Brett Loxton. Cummings' lap won't count. Timer expires as drivers look to make the push over to the line. Greg Sharp won't set anything more with what he's got. Harley Haber currently in 6th position. Has he found a little bit more? No, he hasn't. 35.7, that won't do. Needs something else to make sure it works. Michael Barron down in just 22nd position on a 36th flat. He will not go any quicker. So many drivers on the 36th flat as well. Just to keep that in mind, Stephen Varga makes his charge out of the final chicane, past the wall of champions, over to the line. 868 numbered car, 36.8, certainly not good enough. 9/10 short of finding any forms of improvements. Liam Wilde was so good in pre-qualification. Can he find anything more than 36.1? He does not. It's a 36.3 that he was able to do. Jacob Knight making the push. James Mackay just behind, but Mackay tags the wall of champions. He won't go any quicker. Will Jacob Knight, though, currently looking for something. That something is nothing. Cannot find the time that makes the improvement that was so much needed. Jordan Rostow finds a position on the 35.430. He gains one more, and he's so needed that one more to work. Here's Jack Boyd. He's fallen all the way to 5th position. Needs 2/10. 35.390 gets him up to 3rd. Jack Boyd improves and gets something out of his final lap. Christian Smart won't go quicker. We've seen Michael Barron go through. Everyone's done in qualifying. This is how things stack. It's Brett Loxton on pole position. He set the time early. He loves it here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. 1:35.082 with Brady Myers alongside the privateer. 1:35.226. Jack Boyd starts 3rd for Gone Rogue Motorsports with Andrew Gilliam in pursuit in 4th. Jordan Ross, the reigning champion, starts from 5th place with Harley Haber alongside. Marlon McMullen is going from 7th with Blake Purdy in 8th. 9th position will be Kyle Stokes with Griffin Gardner rounding out the top 10.
In 11th place, we have James Mackay for Pursuit Sim Racing. A disappointing session for Cooper Webster down in 12th. Look for him to fight through the field. Likewise with Thomas McMillan, we know he'll be very fiery. Nick Cummings in 14th. Michael Taliancic in 15th. Stephen Varga, Brian Borg, Sean Thompson, Tom Freer, and David Kimman round out your 20.
Certainly do round out the 21st. We'll go to Robert Hooper. Michael Barron will be alongside him. Row 12 sees Liam Wilde and Scotty McQueen. Jacob Knight and Brad Rattu are on row 13 with David Sanford and Damien Johnstone. They're on row 14. Row 15 consists of Christian Smart and Jamie Stovold.
In 31st, we have Stephen Kokoschke, followed by Greg Sharp. Then Matt Morris for the Velocity Sim Racing team, and Jason Hyde in 34th. Gavin Cox in 35th. Bruce Kiley for Synergy in 36th. Then Scott Clark, Adam Zeitzinger, Joel Kenton, and Rob Harris.
Jet Bennett will start from 41st, and he'll be alongside Scott Gamble, Mitchell Bales, and Gary Cooper. And this is the rear end of the field. Michael Spithill, Brenton O'Brien always seems to make positions. There's Claire Mason as well, the last time set on a 51.9. And then from there, 4 drivers who couldn't set times: Bo Albert, Cameron Dance, Mitchell McLeod, and Matt Stratford. They will all start this one from the back of the very elongated grid. But it is 2 minutes to get up onto the grid, or you start from pit road, and these drivers know that with 34 laps, not long at all, 1 pit stop, 1 also mandatory safety car that is to come out. This is going to be one of those races where everyone knows what they have to expect. They have to expect that it's going to be tight and narrow into turn 1, and starting at the back really heightens the chance of incident to happen. Those on the front, though, they know they've got to be quick, because every driver all the way back to about 22nd position all have a legitimate chance of being within a second, keeping within draft range, and keeping themselves with an opportunity to push on forward. For Brett Loxton, he's been here many a time before. He's a former champion in this series, and he wants to get back to the top as the green flag drops, and we are underway for 34 here at Montreal. It's a clean start at the front, so they look to fall single file. Maybe Jordan Ross under pressure here from Harley Haber, who dives around the outside looking for it. Everyone tries to cover the inside at 2, and Haber's got 2 already in the first 2 corners, as Gilliam on the outside now gets under pressure from Jordan Ross. Loxton's clear at the front, side by side a little bit further behind as Purdy and McMullen go at it as they head into 3 and 4. Little deep they go, cars around in the background.
Oh, we didn't want to see those cars spinning. Unfortunately, I can't pick them up on my screen.
It's Michael Taliancic who's been caught out, so that's not good for him. He had a great qualifying, but wasn't able to do anything. The 777 will not use magical fuel saving to go. Caution comes out.
Probably appropriate. Now the difficult scenario is what to do with the strategy. Unfortunately, there's not really much you can do in terms of, getting a sneaky pit stop in, as we go into an instant replay of that opening corner shenanigans.
Well, let's get a look at this from what happened, and there was already incidents heading into turn number 1, so go all the way back from Taliancic. Taliancic's spin is separate. You can see 20 cars all struggling. I think Cam Dance is in there as one of them who struggled. Let's go back and see what happened to him. There's Taliancic. He just gets a little loose on cold tyres, and he tags another vehicle through turn 2, and there's not much that can do. So let's look at this from Cam Dance's perspective here. He's right at the back of the field. Slow start from Zeitzinger. There's a gap there going on for Brian Borg, but just look in the middle here, and it's already happened before there. There's a Mark 1 car getting involved. Didn't quite catch who that was. There's Damien Johnstone involved in that as well. So we need to find, I think, one more replay, and I think the Mark 1 car of Michael Barron, is where we're going to see it, Ross.
I can see in the chat a lot of people aren't happy about that. Of course, not being able to make it to turn 1 is never ideal, but it's sometimes not quite as easy as it sounds with the way the track curves and the way everyone's going to be struggling with traction off the line.
Well, let's get a look at this from behind Michael Barron. So he gets a slow start here, and he's already being attacked by the 063 to the inside. They start bottlenecking up, and there's contact on his inside, and that sends Barron around. He's spread eagle, and then from there, it's pretty much disaster, she wrote, for so many vehicles in the back of the pack. We said it could be dangerous on the West End Mazda replay, but it happens just like that. But 1 lap will be score complete. A lot of drivers, though, are down on pit road and are effective out of this one. This includes Cameron Dance, the likes, of course, of Michael Barron, Christian Smart, Steve Kokoschka, Jason Hyde, Zeitinger, Kenton, Rob Harris, Gary Cooper, all of them running themselves into issues which was not part of the plan. At the front of the field, though, it's Brett Loxton who holds control. Brady Myers in second, Jack Boyd is in third. From there, it's Harley Haber up to fourth, Gilliam fifth, Ross sixth, Purdy seventh, McMullen eighth, Griffin Gardner ninth, and Kyle Stokes rounding out the top 10. Your biggest gainers in the field, well, it's +4 positions for David Kinman. It's plus a good 8 for Damian Johnstone, who's managed to sneak away through all of this. Brenton O'Brien, though, we expected him to maybe find a way through. He's got 16 for his troubles here, Ross.
Great stuff from Brenton. He's fun to watch in these kinds of races. He kind of minds his own business, knows he doesn't have great pace, but will use strategy and cunningness, because remember, he's incredibly experienced to make his way through the field. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for a number of the drivers that were involved in those incidents, but fortunately, a fast repair will allow them to get back out on track. They just have to work kind of hard from the back of the field.
11 drivers have not made it around the opening lap. One driver failed to make the start, that being Bo Albert. So pit stop window very much open, but no driver deciding to take it. Of course, this opening caution does not count as the mandatory caution here, Ross, and they've got to keep that in mind. There will be a second cautionary period at least in this race.
Correct. And what this early safety car will do is push that window out further from when the actual safety car can be deployed. So it gives people a little bit more time to figure out what they want to do. I'm sure the real savvy guys like Michael Taliantich will be considering now the optimum pit window to come to make his pit stop before that safety car comes out is now that lap has now changed.
It certainly has changed, especially the fact that he's down in 37th position at the moment and down 22 off of his start. So he's certainly got a lot of work to do and a lot of drivers coming in. Sean Thompson is one of them. Taliantich is another. Joel Kenton's come in, as has Stephen Kokoschka come down onto the lane, got some repairs, got out and going again. Rob Harris is one lap down, as those drivers will have to filter all the way to the back of the pack. But there are drivers here who haven't really made too much progress, but still hold a really good shot. There's one driver we haven't talked about at all yet in this broadcast who has a good chance of getting a good result here. Tom Freer in the 946, always a perennial great qualifier. Didn't have a good Monza a week ago. Probably looking for something good to happen at the start of his AOSC season.
Of course, Tom has definitely impressed me with that one lap pace, and certainly the other guys at Hyperdrive. Let's not forget they've got some new signings from in the likes of Jamie Stovall and Scott Gamble, who will also be looking to impress their new team on their first outing. And so far, well, as long as they're in the race for now, they've got that chance to have a good result tonight.
Certainly do. Lights, of course, still on top of the iRacing Porsche first safety car. That will come in at the end of next lap to allow proceedings to race off once again. Brett Loxton thought he was clear and away with the fairies after his fantastic start. He's got to do it all over again. And drivers do have to be careful about that start, because that final chicane can be so deadly in a number of ways, which includes the Wall of Champions, the high curbs, and most importantly of all, Ross, especially after your incident with Lee Ellis in the opening round of V8 Scott, actually coming down onto pit road.
Yeah, I'm afraid there's not much you can really do when you're taking the normal line, but it's up to the driver entering the pits to make sure they do so at a safe speed. So let's hope we don't see too many of any of those incidents, in fact, of those miscalculations as we go back to green flag racing. Nope. Have I called that early? Nope. So my bad, viewers.
Well, I did say it was going to be 3 laps and it would come in at the end of the next lap, and just on cue, the lights come off on top of the iRacing Porsche first safety car. We will go green this next time by, so Brett Loxton will have control of the field. Andrew Gilliam didn't get the best start in the world, nor did Jordan Ross, so those drivers will be looking to try and push back through the field, and we've seen how Jordan Ross really got his act together in the second half of the season. Does Jordan Ross come across as maybe a slow starter when it comes to championships?
No, it's hard to say. I would say that when he joined Evolution Racing Team. He got results on the board very quickly from having hit the ground running from his previous team at Synergy. So he's definitely got momentum behind him. Again, he'll want to put some points on the board tonight. He was arguably robbed here of a win here last season with the last lap tangle with Jake Maloney going through the Wall of Champions, and was only just missed out on the win that time round. I'm sure he want to put that right this time round, or at least get an extremely good haul of points.
A lot of drivers want an extremely good haul of points, and it shows when you see just how strong the field is to start this season. You've got the likes of Cooper Webster outside the top 10. How many times do you say that in any sim racing event? That includes these Australian touring cars. Blake Purdy has had a pretty good start. Andrew Gilliam looking for more. Harley Haber, though, probably the surprise of everyone, getting that wonderful start around the outside of turn number 1. Got the inside for 2, gained 2 positions. Now, surely, Jack Boyd has to be the driver who has to be a little bit worried about what is happening. Loxton really is running up closer to the safety car. Brady Myers is being very heavy on that fuel save, and he is trying to save everything. And even if that means dropping a second behind Brett Loxton, he will save that fuel. But he must close up at this stage, because he knows if he doesn't close up, then Brett Loxton breaks a second, and goodbye and good night it will be for the remainder of the race, apart from that caution which comes out. So really it's a case of just trying to find yourself a little bit of ground. It's been a shaky start to the new season, but we got a second chance to get this done and get this done correct. Pace car will go straight on here at the final chicane and will peel off into pit road. When that happens, control of the field will be behind the Zuva racing car. Brett Locks 209. He's looking to be the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, as he rounds the final corner and goes early as we get back underway for green flag running here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and he's already got the jump. Haber looking now to be aggressive here. There's Jack Boyd under pressure, looking to the inside already. He drives to the podium and he cannot quite get there. There's Boyd just going a little bit deep there on the brakes. The style working for him. No too wide action then through the first 10 drivers. They all head through the first couple of corners safely.
What a fantastic restart from Brett Loxton. That'll really help him on this opening lap. Oh, slow down for Jordan Ross. He's going to have to serve that. It's going to be painful given that we don't have a representative quick lap time on the board, but it looks like he's back up to speed relatively quickly as Nick Cummings in his very strange livery. It's weird not to see him in black and orange TTL.
More slowdown there. Jordan Ross having to lose a position, almost tangling up with the Mark 1 car there of Stephen Vargas. So this is the slowdown from hell that we are seeing from Jordan Ross, and this is the one that will cost him this race. Most definitely, there's no way to get back through after something like that. Andrew Gilliam, though, is trying to go on the offensive here. Haber is the man under pressure now after being aggressive on the restart, on the brakes, into Lepangle, the hairpin. There you go, and he's looking for the inside, and the door was left open there by Jack Boyd, and Haber thought, well, I can take that as an advantage. Didn't quite get there. A bit of sideways momentum going, and now Gilliam's got the run here, heading towards the final chicane.
Oh, we've got a small gaggle of very aggressive drivers here. This could explode any second, but they're gonna have to take their time. It's a long race with a lot of events to play out.
Make hay while the sun shines, boys, as they now look to try and make their pushes for a lap completed under green flag conditions. A little bit further down in the pack, Robert Hooper trying to get aggressive here. He's got David Kinman just in front. He's trying to get fast, and can he get that run in towards turn number 1 out on track? He looks down to the inside, late on the brake, little wiggle though as he tries to put the power down. He has to slow it up. Jordan Ross says, cookies, that's mine.
Great heads up driving from Jordan there. A decent attempt from Rob, but he's made to suffer now with a 3rd position with the hyperdrive car getting past him as well.
That's Tom Freer making the position, so Freer gets himself +1. He's up to 17th now, and that will help him wonders over the course of this race. Haver now trying to get aggressive here. Jack Boyd has lost contact with Brady Myers in 2nd place, and this is going to be crucial as they get on the brakes into the 3rd chicane. Out on track, through the right, through the left, so easy to get this one wrong. And ultimately, It's not quite working just now. Jack Boyd getting a good bit of momentum, but he is losing time, mainly because he had to defend so hard on that first outlap. And again, just taking that slightly wider line. And oh, a little bit of contact there from Haber. He's giving him notice, saying if you're going to leave this open, then things are going to be a little different. West End Mazda instant replay up on screen, getting an eye on Bruce Kiley, who's gone straight on at turn 3. His day's done for Synergy.
Yeah, we'll put that down to hardware failure. That looked very, very strange. As we return to this battle up at the front with these young guns, Haber is really putting the blowtorch onto Jack Boyd. Meanwhile, Brady Myers and Brett Loxton continue to skip away while Jack Boyd, rather than looking in front, has to keep an eye on his mirrors because Haber continually shows the nose, and we've seen it at Lepingle. He keeps putting the nose in there, even though it's not very welcome. He needs to leave the room or else he's going to turn him.
Very, very true, and this is what Jack Boyd's got to be worried about. Haber will take a gap and say, you know what, I'll Brad Keselowski you like William Byron just a couple of days ago. So what can Harley Haber do in order to try and make this move and get it to stick? On the brakes into 5, and he just runs a little bit wide there. Wasn't in control under the brakes, and such a couple of tenths go awry. Look a little bit further back. Marlon McMullen in the battle for 7th. Gardner, Stokes, Webster, all in that train. Mackay and Cummings trying to hold on to it. Griffin Gardner wanting to prove himself against the perennial privateer. What we'd say is the gold standard of privateers, Marlon McMullen.
Absolutely. McMullen, I believe, came away with the overall championship last season to add to his already incredible, impressive tally of America's championships as well as his official series. As Griffin Gardner very wide at Lepingle, and Kyle Stokes runs alongside. He'll have the inside for the Wall of Champions, which will be ideal. The ideal line heading to it's turn 1.
He had to leave the door open. Kyle Stokes was going for it like there was some drywall in front of him. Now look at this then from Stokesy boy. What can the 888 do? On the brakes, Griffin Gardner yields and position given, and now it suddenly becomes an ERT sandwich as all of a sudden there is Cooper Webster trying to find himself an opportunity to make a push further forward. Again though, the battle for the podium is a 3-car scrap, and again defended hard by the Gone Rogue Motorsports car, which just about holds on. Contact between all 3 of them as they make the run to turn 3. Haber's got half a nose down the inside. He may think about making the move, he doesn't just yet, and now they're tripping over each other.
Oh my goodness. It looks like Jack Boyd is actually starting to overdrive the car, so he might need to manage what he needs to do from here. Oh, big one from Haber. Does he pull it up? Oh, slight contact. Oh, they just leave room. That was good racing. And look at Gilliam. He might get 2 for the price of 1 here.
He's boxed in though. He's got to find a way to make that move, and he's not got anything. He's got no angle. Contact. Hold it together. They do. Andrew Gilliam's got to be careful. Haber's going to go straight on here at the 3rd chicane, and just like that, it all ends up in disaster. They're going to thread the needle 3 wide. It was a little bit wide there on that chicane from Jack Boyd, and all of a sudden on the outside, Gilliam could snipe the podium away. On the brakes they go into the pangle. McMullen will pick up the position as well, but just like that, it's still held by Boyd. It says driver in the background. One vehicle's got around. I think that's Nick Cummings.
Oh dear, that all just exploded. We might need to replay to break all that down.
Can't just yet because Gilliam's got the position, and just like that, here comes Jack Boyd getting back in the tow, looking to the outside here on lap 8 of 34. On the brakes, he'll try and look, and can he get it sorted? No, he can't. So Andrew Gilliam gets the podium. Now let's take ourselves over to our West End Mazda replay. You can see exactly what happened. A massive, massive moment, all because Haber was trying to get aggressive. Let's look at Nick Cummings first, though. He was trying to make that move down the inside. There's the Mark 1 car of Harley Haber on the outside, losing position. But Cummings just locks up the rears there on entry, and there's nothing you can do from there.
Absolutely not. It is so difficult to pull these cars up into a big hairpin like that and not try to hit the other cars. So he's actually done the noble thing to be able to take it to the inside and not hit anyone.
He's done fantastically. Keep himself going side by side between the 2 hyperdrive cars as Jamie Stovold finds a way through on Tom Freer as they continue to battle for positions 3 and onwards, as Haber has found a way through on Marlon McMullen at turn number 5. Down the inside they looked, and I think there was contact there as just running wide, actually, sorry, there was McMullen. He completely outbroke himself, and just like that, positions there as Kyle Stokes picks up another one. He's got past young Blake Purdy.
Oh, that was a fantastically opportunist move, and now look at Griffin Gardner behind Purdy.
Out is Michael Taliancic, we are hearing, so no more from him as Gardner runs wide here at the penultimate corner and tries to get going again. So here comes the move to try and get that back, but Taliancic out of this event, and it's a shame for him. West End Mazda instant replay.
He'll be disappointed to be out of this one. He's normally very, very clean and very smart with these. An engine
like
failure
an
we
engine.
see.
Yep, just shifted down a little bit too aggressively. Oh my word.
Oh, that's a frightening incident, quite frankly.
That's the 060 car that's been caught up with that. It's one of the hyperdrives, and I didn't quite see what happened there. This is Joel Kenton, so we'll see what happens as they make their push through. It looks like it could be a brake failure that we're seeing, either that or the unmentionable, which is, of course, Ross, the intentional incident, as it's often called. So you see on the brakes, there are no brakes, trying to go through, stuck throttle, and bang, there's not much more you can do from there.
Oh, yeah, you really have to feel for both of those guys. Absolutely nothing either of them can do in that situation.
Nothing at all. Gap at the front, though, remains 9/10 of a second. Brady Myers refuses to let go in this race, and if he can keep within that 1 second margin, keeps that psychological pressure on Brett Loxton here, Ross. And how important is it, as the driver in second position, keep up pressure on drivers in front of you, hoping for the mistake?
Yeah, definitely don't let Brett get comfortable here. He's going to have to really consider the second half of this race as well. We're not too far from the halfway distance, but most importantly, that safety car has to come out where we arguably split the race in two halves.
Jordan Ross has technically not set a lap time, as we have seen on the timing. So he hasn't set a lap time this lap by, but he does have himself an opportunity to get past Steven Varga down the inside. So he goes and he makes that move and he gets it going. But we've just seen an incident at the hairpin as well, and that is one of MSS cars, and that's Damien Johnstone, who's run into issues. His day has gone catastrophically wrong after that one. So we'll keep an eye on his progress moving forward. And Jordan Ross, again, not technically setting a lap time here, but I don't see any damage on his machine. I think that just maybe not having the best of the unmentionables, shall we say.
I certainly hope not. That looked like a very clumsy incident going into the Lepingle. Also picked up that James Mackay had to miss the wall of the chicane at the Wall of Champions.
Mistake for Blake Purdy, and here comes Cooper Webster looking for the move down the inside of 6 as they make their way towards the 8 and 9 chicane, and Purdy on the outside will try and fight it, but it's a one-line suits-all corner, and he's pinched to that outside, and young Cooper Webster gets past young Blake Purdy, and you have to say that that is the battle going on for what we could say is the future of Australian touring car racing that we've got at the moment. But Haber having his own little scrap at the moment as he gets away through just behind there on Jack Boyd, and just like that, Marlon McMullen says thank you very much, 2 for your troubles.
That's a lot of experience from McMullen. He needs to, he's running to the defensive line into the chicane, forcing Boyd to go the long way round. It's difficult to pull it up. McMullen is really struggling for braking performance there. He's got a slightly tardy exit. Boyd has a chance to get the dive onto the inside at turn 1.
Oh, they're like Hamilton and Button all the way to the pit wall, and on the brakes into turn number 1. Boyd trying to go down the inside, but he runs out of road, and it's well defended by McMullen. Here comes Stokes trying to get back down the inside in the Triple Eight, trying to get a little bit of love from other Triple Eights that have had so much success at 3 and 4. He will try, but almost getting there, but nothing. Jack Boyd is really hanging on with everything he's got left.
I'm noticing that damage on the front of Boyd's car is probably hampering his straight line speed. Also, having to fight Haber in the early start parts of the race has really thrown him off, probably fried his tyres a little bit. So not having the long-term outlook as we see Andrew Gilliam and Haber side by side.
Oh, well, it's around the outside here. It's very rarely done. He's trying to up and under. Gilliam runs wide through that section, and he's been put under pressure. The Haber effect in full force as they make their way to La Bangle, the hairpin. And can they get on the brakes? Haber again trying the outside line, and he can't quite slow it up. He's got time to use that gap and he'll open up the exit, but he gets a huge tank of oversteer as he tries to get through. Look a little bit further behind because here's Griffin Gardner trying to find a way past Blake Purdy, and Purdy's having none of it. Oh, they bang doors as they make their run towards the final chicane.
Now Blake's got the difficult part of being on the outside for the chicane. He'll need to break super deep to get through here, but I think Griffin's going to have the preferred lining. Oh no, he's going to commit. Look at the commitment. Oh, the door banging again, and Blake Purdy made to surf the slowdown through for that, for not realizing he should have probably yielded earlier.
Well, there was a case of either A, yield, or B, fight for it, but they were door-to-door heading into the chicane, and you can't blame them for that. That's just hard racing between them as they looked for every little advantage that they could possibly get. Big Train a little bit further down in the pack. Kidman still holding off. Hooper, now Wild, now Stovall, now Tom Freer, all there. This is the battle going on for 17th all the way down to 21st, and everywhere you look, there are 3 or 4 vehicles together all having a scrap.
And that's what this series is about, right? It's such a breadth and depth of talent in this field that you're always going to find someone to race, whether it's for second, 22nd, or 42nd.
Very much so, and they are all wanting to make sure that their race is going to be the one that works. Let's look at the 987 of Jamie Stovall, close to the back of Liam Wild, who was fantastic in pre-qualification, maybe had a fantastic draft. Get his lap time on the brakes into the right-left chicane that comes up of 8 and 9, and really just not able to carry the speed that he wants, and as such has lost maybe about 5 car lengths to the car in front, and really just needs to be in that tow. But when you're in a train, any small mistake is really exacerbated, Ross, as there's the dive to the inside from Stovall as he looks to get it done at Lapangle. Has he got everything sorted? No. Look at the drive off the exit.
Wow. Jamie absolutely pulled that up perfectly, but the traction off the hairpin just simply makes the move all null and void. And look at how much that Zuva car is just gapping him down the straight. Only now he's getting the time back in the draft.
He's only just getting that time back, and it is showing as he looks to try and pull himself close. But down onto pit road is James Mackay, who came in from a pretty solid position up in and around that top 10. So he decides to make the call early, dive down onto the lane. The worst thing that could happen for him right now, you have to say, Ross, is the mandatory caution that comes out.
Actually, that would probably really help his scenario. If the fuel window is open, that means everyone else will need to dive into the lane while he can stay out and potentially take the lead.
Well, it all depends on timing as well, because technically the time taken over race time through the lane, wouldn't you say, Ross, is shorter by the fact that you're under safety car conditions?
I'm unsure. I haven't really thought the strategy through that far, but regardless, he's made the call now, and he'll need to make those fresh tyres work and get some track position.
Well, track position can only be made on the fresh tyres, and he'll look to try and undercut the rest of the field. The whole field will be put on notice at the moment. Battle for the podium, though, very much still on, as it's a massive train that stretches all the way back now to Thomas McMillan in 11th position. 3rd to 11th. Split themselves by 6 seconds out on track. 3rd to 13th by just 8 out on track, as Jordan Ross and Blake Purdy are starting to claw their way back onto the train. Nobody in a position, though, to make the move into chicane, but Harley Haber dives down onto pit road. He says, no, Mackay, you're not going to get your undercut. I'm going to try my own.
Yeah, so I think Harley needs to do something. He's clearly got some pace, so this is a good call from him. Now, the cars that have stayed out really need to make this lap count, as I saw Nick Cummings have to serve a slowdown, so that's not going to help his chances with Haber.
No, it's not, as Blake Purdy now is going to try and go around the outside to make the move work. He forces Cummings to go wide, and on the power, Purdy's got it. So a position for young Blake Purdy in the 488. It moves him up into 9th position on the road at the moment, but that's only representative as things stand. Jordan Ross will want to be next to try and find a way through in this race. But your front two, Brett Loxton and Brady Myers, have checked out. They are 10 seconds clear and 8 seconds clear, respectively, of Gilliam in 3rd position. So that just tells you how much battling that middle pack has done. They've lost 8 seconds in 8 laps.
And Haber has come out way in front of James McKee, and just behind Christian Smart for the Gorn Rogue Motorsport team. Oh, he runs wide. I was thinking he might have done a few favours for Jack Boyd by holding him up.
Yes, but no favours given there, as he dives on through, and goes with a bit of clean air as well to set some lightningly fast laps. So those drivers have to be careful. Now, here's the question. Who covers off this move by Harley Haber as Brett Loxton decides I've had enough, I'm coming in from the race lead. This will hand the lead over to Brady Myers at the end of lap 14 of this event. Marlon McMullen decides he will follow on through and get himself going. In comes Boyd, in comes Stokes as they all come in, as does McMillan, Purdy, Cummings and Ross all in at the same time. It's a pit party here in Montreal.
Hooray, you can see the poppers and the balloons go up with the pit party. But yes, a strange time for everyone to come in now on this particular lap. So the cars that are going longer will probably be hoping that the safety car continues to stay away from the track for the next few laps. If they have made the right call, they'll be able to do the last couple of laps on the race on fresher tyres.
Here comes Harley Haber coming out of the final corner and looking to make his push. Brett Loxton should be long gone, and you can see that he is gone, but someone who is also gone is said Haber. But look at McMullen here on terms of his stop. He's underfilled the car and he's jumped him. So Haber has struggled. He's ahead of Boyd, he's ahead of Stokes, but McMullen has underfilled the car and has got the jump. He's going to be banking on saving a lot of fuel under the next safety car period.
I think when it comes to Marlon McMullen, he knows what he's doing. So he's going to have to get the head down and hopefully not succumb to the pressure of Harley Haber. He is so good under the brakes that he'll just be able to keep showing the nose if and when it's not welcome, and potentially Russell, the multi-time champion.
Well, he's lightning in a bottle, is Harley Haber, and on his day he can be as good as anybody in an Australian touring car as they make their way through the third chicane. The Mark 1 driver against the privateer as they look to battle it out. Brett Loxton, as Brady Myers decided it's time to dive down onto pit road. He has. Andrew Gilliam resumes now control of the race lead, but they're still battling it out for third position as almost everybody else has dived down onto the lane and has looked try and get that run going. Eyes still though on this Harley Haber battle, so close, they're almost touching as they go through the kink, and now looking to make that charge up through this one, trying to make that run work, and Haber defends it here on the right-left chicane that comes along, and just like that, Haber has got the position that he so desperately wanted to get.
I think McMullen wants to work with Haber here. He's clearly got so much pace that he can use that to latch onto the cars in front. You could see McMullen was trying to actually bump draft him into the chicane and then got out of it early to say, hey, go take the racing line. We don't want to be held up here.
Look at Gardner coming out of pit road as he gets a car ahead of Cooper Webster. That car is Jack Boyd, who has been the big loser in these stops. Nick Cummings on the rear of this one as well. It's now a 5-car train, and they will all be scrapping it out, trying to find positions. Jordan Ross has come out ahead of Thomas McMillan, but behind James Mackay, who got the big undercut. Big lunge down to the outside now for Nick Cummings as he tries to defend it against Cooper Webster. Contact made, but he's got the position sorted.
Oh, fantastic. I think Cooper Webster actually grazed the inside wall, which gave Nick the opportunity he needed to make the move.
In comes Andrew Gilliam then from the race lead. Drivers who have yet to come down onto pit road include Robert Hooper, and that is practically it then, as he is on his 17th lap worth of racing at the moment, the halfway stage in this one, and decides to peel it off down onto pit road. So Gilliam looking to make his stop and looking to get back out and going again as quickly as possible. We do expect Brett Loxton to fly on by. His gap has increased as Robert Hooper's had an issue coming onto pit road. So he's gone in trying to get there on the brake, slow it down, and it looks like he blew his engine, slowing it, trying to get down in. His day's done.
Oh dear. So we're seeing that Marlon is actually heavily fuel saving, so he has actually orchestrated this move with Harley Haber. As we can see, Gilliam sweep around the outside of both of them. Fantastic strategy from the boys at Pursuit Sim Racing to keep him ahead.
What an overcut from Andrew Gilliam. He maintains the podium at the moment and has done so magnificently in terms of this battle. Still a caution to come, mind you, but this is all setting up to be fantastic. Mackay under pressure, though. Let's focus on this for the moment. This will be for the top 10 with Thomas McMillan just behind in that Mega Black racing car, trying to find a way to the inside, and just is not able to make that move happen through the left-right of 5 and 6 as they make their way to the 8-9 chicane, and looking again towards that inside on this very flat man-made island. On the brakes, will he dare lunge? Oh, you bet he will, but he's going to go way too deep, and he straight lines it.
Oh, Thomas. I think that was a little bit too much of a Hail Mary, but hey, he wants to make some positions. He's going to have to take risks.
He is going to have to take those risks, and risks he did, and with that slowdown penalty, he's only just behind Mackay again, so he's done very well on serving that penalty to keep himself in a position to go out there and attack a little bit further behind. Down the inside of Michael Spithill goes David Kim, and Spithill yet to stop contact between the Redback racing car and also Kimman. And look at that, that's day done for Spithill. He's hard into the fence, he's in the Armco, and his day's over.
I think Spithill was just caught up trying to actually race cars he shouldn't have been racing. We'll see what happened on the instant replay. So yeah,
look at this. He's going to come through this section. He gets a tap, but he's just over that curb, and he just taps the grass, and just like that, he loses the back end. There's not much downforce in these vehicles, and just like that, day over.
McMillan has just just touched the back of McKee and shoved him offline and has grabbed the position.
Well, let's get an instant replay of that one as well. So James Mackay losing a position then as we catch it on the West End Mazda instant replay, and looking to try and make that move. Mackay really was in that tough scrap, and we know that Thomas McMillan does love to push. He's very late into turn number 1, trying to get it down the inside of 2. To be fair to McMillan, half the door was left open.
I'll agree to disagree on that one, but he had a crack a lot, and it was light contact, but it was just the way the car was loaded that it shoved him so far wide. Oh, was that him skating across the grass?
It was Mackay skating across the grass as well in the 3rd chicane, so he outbrakes himself with a little bit of traffic in front in the form of Christian Smarts, and that's not really helping. So Mackay's day is going from bad to horrific at the moment, but your top 3 remain undeterred. Brett Loxton, Brady Myers, and Andrew Gilliam, all 3 of them on their own, out on track, 4th position. Harley Haber, McMullen trying to save fuel in 5th. The battle for 6th struggling as there's a little slide from Jack Boyd in the Gonro car. And here comes Griffin Gardner looking to the inside to pick this move up. Can he get it slowed down on the brakes? It's a switchback section, and he runs really deep there, and that's a perfect pass, but he runs too deep through 2. But there is Jack Boyd, unable to capitalise because he was blocked through turn 1.
That was perfectly executed from Griffin. Super late on the brakes, forced Jack to have to wait to turn in, and even though he was having a little moment, he was able to get back on line before Jack was able to steal the line from him.
Well, that is called the perfect block pass, and you will not find many better than that. If you're on dirt, you call that a slide job, but that was probably a lot more daintier than any slide job that has ever gone and happened, ever. At the moment, though, this is where we are in this really awkward stage, which just happens now, because there is the safety car that comes out, the mandatory one. And just like this, Ross, I was saying, we're in that stage where we're waiting for the safety car. On cue, it comes up with 14 left.
You know who I think was doing a little bit of a sneaky waiting for that safety car was Brady Myers. His lap pace was way off those guys that are around him. Sure, he's got cushion, but I reckon he might have been saving a bit of tyres, a bit of fuel for the second half of the race, knowing that he had about a 10-second gap to the Andrew Gilliam behind. Now, let's not forget, Andrew has the freshest tyres in this group, so this plays beautifully that he can attack these guys for the remaining, well, by the time we go green, about 22 laps. Oh, sorry, 12 laps. I can math.
You can math. You were thinking lap 22, which would probably be the one that we get back going and racing on. So the pit stop cycle has completely come and gone. We got 3 laps of saving fuel once again for these drivers, but it bunches up that field for the final 12, 13 laps worth of racing. And this is where everything is going to be on the table. Fight for what you've made. So Brett Loxton holds control of the field. He has done the drop of the green flag. Second position is Brady Myers. He has been there pretty much since the drop of the green flag as well. They started 1-2. They've stayed that way the entire race. Andrew Gilliam is up 1. He's in 3rd position. Harley Haber has gained 2 off the start and has not gone anywhere else since, as has Marlon McMullen, who has been religiously saving that fuel. Kyle Stokes has gained 3, as has Griffin Gardner. They're 6th and 7th. Jack Boyd, probably one of the biggest losers. He's down 5 in 8th. Nick Cummings is up 5 in 9th. Jordan Ross down 5 of his own, but he's managed to fight his way back to the top 10. At the moment, we have ourselves 32 drivers who are still currently classified as being on the leading lap as things stand. And for the time being here, Ross, we have to say, it has been Brett Loxton's race. Nobody has come within a country mile of trying to make a move on him, and Brett has just driven probably the most consummate and the most professional race I've seen out of him.
I have to agree wholeheartedly with that. Brett has done a great job. Brady did really well trying to keep the pressure on, but I don't think quite has the pace. So someone needs to do something different to try and catch him. I think that's going to be the likes of Andrew Gilliam to try it. We've seen Harley Haber's been been a race-long highlight reel with some of that audacious braking maneuvers. I also want to bring some attention to Brad Rattu, who's up 12 spots from 26th to 14th into the top 15. There are some decent movers outside that top 15 as well, who have probably had a lot more action than we've been able to afford given the racing the front pack has given us.
Your biggest mover and shaker inside of the field is Matt Stratford. He started today all the way back on the 25th row in 50th position. He is up 27 right now to go to 23rd place. He's having a mega drive at the moment, and nobody can take that away from him. Matt Stratford is having an absolute worldie. And people who are watching us here on the iRacing Esports Network, let us know in the comments right now, who is your driver of the day at the moment. We will award driver of the day at the end of this broadcast. Let us know who your driver of the day is. But Ross, drivers saving fuel, drivers saving tires. How do you go for a 10-lap sprint? You're racing probably another 20 minutes worth of racing, and you're thinking to yourself, right, do you tick people off one at a time? Do you look at the bigger picture? How do you get into the mindset as a driver to attack after a safety car?
Definitely big picture. There's not a lot of this race to go, but by now you know where you sit compared to the cars around you. If you're faster, you want to obviously have a crack. If you're a bit slower, then maybe you can use them to sneak up behind other cars earlier as they try to attack the cars in front of them. Now, if there are cars behind you that are faster, do you want to work with them? Do you want to risk an incident, or do you want to try and battle to hold them off? It's a difficult balancing act, but if you've got fresh tires like Andrew Gilliam or pace like Brett Loxton, I guess the scenario is pretty fairly easy. But for Marlon McMullen, for example, who has pace, experience, but a fuel-saving problem, he's going to be probably the most interesting one to watch.
Certainly will do, as he will have to both attack and defend and fuel save. Effectively, what Marlon McMullen needs is a Swiss Army knife of a drive, aren't you saying?
That's exactly what I was implying. But I think Marlon is up to the challenge, or else he wouldn't have gone for the aggressive strategy. But he's got some fast guys behind him. And let's not forget, Griffin Gardner has snuck up in the last few laps, so he'll be looking to try and make something work here. James McKee also had a bit of a shocker just before that safety car behind his teammate Blake Purdy's also had an interesting race so far, but they should probably be a little higher than they currently are at the moment. David Kinman is also a bit of a quiet achiever as far as Pursuit Sim Racing is concerned. That's the way they go about things, and they do it very well. So he'll want to see if he can sneak into the top 15 as well.
Well, we'll see how much he will be able to make that happen, but they will have one more lap behind the safety car before green flag running will resume. When we get back to our green flag racing, we will have ourselves just 11 laps to go when they cross the line. So for Brett Loxton, it's 11 laps worth of holding on with Brady Myers behind. Brady's bunch no more, but Brady will try and showcase exactly what he's made of. Andrew Gilliam, he has been the highlight reel of 2019. He's been the breakout star in so many respects, but What can Pursuit do to make that push a little bit further forward? Haber has been fantastic. McMullen on the fuel save. Let's not forget here, Kyle Stokes as well. He has been very quietly just ticking off the laps and doing the Kyle Stokes drive. He always finds himself in the top 10, maybe even a top 5, and this was the consistency value, Ross, that got him right in the thick of the title picture in the mid part of the season, why he took the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the points on the board consistently pays off massively, and he did hold the lead for a long time, and unfortunately fell short with a couple of rounds to go. But this race has proven that he's kept his nose clean. I did remember earlier in his career he had dramas holding on to the tires, but I think he's done a better job since joining the Evolution Racing team to give himself a fighting chance later in the stint. So I think we've got a little bit more. He'll add to his tally of 3 positions gained by the end of the race, I think.
And do you think that's also testament to the ERT machine in terms of just how brilliant a setup they're able to continuously make?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some fantastic knowledge and experience on board. However, we did notice Cooper Webster struggling not only in qualifying but in the race. Unfortunately, it looks like he is out at the moment. Brenton O'Brien, the head of Evolution Racing Team, is up 16 positions. So they probably have something. I'm not sure whether or not they made changes to the set that was so successful in the Premier Series, but we're seeing a mixed bag of results tonight.
Very much a different kettle of fish when you get to racing like these, when you get into some brilliant work with the likes of, say, what happens in V8 Scots. You have 18 hours worth to prepare and you have a lot of time to set yourself up and know what the car's doing. Here, when it comes to AOSC and the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC series, you all understand that this is a different kettle of fish. You're racing sometimes week to week, and you have not much time to prepare for everything that goes on. So now these drivers need to know, what have they got left? 11 laps to go. Pace car will dive in this time by Brett Loxton backing up the field, and every driver wants to get going and are itchy with the trigger finger to try and make that power work. Loxton goes same place again and gets himself a great run. And look at Haber once again. He's got a great one. Green flag drops and he will have a chance here to get past Gilliam for the podium. On the brakes into turn number 1 he goes. Can he slow it up? Can he get down the inside? He's got a half chance. He's on the outside of turn number 2, but he's not going to get it as Gilliam uses that momentum and holds the position for the moment. They've cost themselves 1 and 2. For the time being, they've already dropped the second, but just like that, Haber was immediately on the offensive.
Oh, he absolutely caught Gilliam napping, and that would be one of his best chances. Now, Gilliam needs to press on to see if he can stay in the draft of Brady and Brett, not only to see if he can pressure them, but to actually defend from this ridiculously brave Harley Haber that we've seen all race. And let's not forget, we've got Kyle Stokes and Marlon McMullen looking to pick up the pieces if Haber gets a little bit overly exuberant.
Well, what also can Brady Myers do? He's got to stay within a second. He's got to stay with Brett Loxton as much as possible. This is to make sure that the victory can fall into his hands. But what can you do in this situation? You've got to make sure that you're in positions to make moves. These drivers on the restart, no changes of positions inside of your top 10. On the brakes into Lapango they go on their 24th time round, and nothing just yet. As now Haber becomes the cork in the bottle. He struggled over the middle part of that lap, and McMullen all of a sudden finds himself just behind with an opportunity here maybe to pull off and get into 4th position, but I doubt that because he's so focused on the fuel save margin. He pulls out into the mirror, but he's not looking to make that move. Now Kyle Stokes has to get aggressive here if he wants to get as high as 4th. Gilliam is now all over the back here, and Brady Myers all of a sudden. Gilliam's flying!
I told you, it's those fresh tyres, and it looks like Brady's only just starting to fall behind the draft of Brett Loxton. Brett Loxton looks like he's got control of this race, doing a brilliant job, but now Brady needs to focus in front and behind on this charging Andrew Gilliam, who looks like he's finally broken Harley Haber with that rather awkward restart.
Looking through 3 and 4, nothing, and just drops a 1/10 of a second, trying to be a little aggressive. Contact in the back though. Thomas McMillan gets attacked from Blake Purdy, and there's Jordan Ross and James Mackay and Brad Ratu all in this train, all looking try and find a position. They dive for the inside at turn 5, and it's Mackay who's the big defensive driver, with Brad Ratu trying to look all over the place to get a move sorted. Can he get down the inside here as they make the run to 8 and 9? He's trying to think about it, and he's got the nose. Now he's got the half a car length, and on the brakes, he's not as committed here as James Mackay holds.
Mackay only just held on to that. He's laid up the tyres coming out of that corner spot. Brad Ratu not close enough to have a dive at the hairpin, but at least if he can pick up the run. Oh, no, overcommitment from Brad Ratu. He just keeps it on the track, but it looks like he'll lose a position to Varga and to Kinman, and it looks like McMillan's in trouble. Alongside with Blake Purdy, he's taken to the grass once again, I think, to make a move. And here comes Jordan Ross, who's been a bit of a sleeper this race. Boxed in though, inside line for Purdy. Does he commit on the brakes? They hit the brakes at the same time. Oh, it's close.
He's got it. That's brilliantly done, but look at McMillan's run. Look at his run off the exit, though. Here's going to be the chance to try and get back into this one, and he'll look to the outside to try and make this work. He'll get the inside for 2. That's what he's banking on here. Against young Blake Purdy. Contact as they head into turn number 1. They hold it together, and again, the inside line for Blake Purdy. He does well. Jordan Ross tries to pick a nose down the inside. He's got it run, but he's not quite there. He's not got it sorted. He'll have to make it happen at 3 and 4. On the brakes, he goes very late on the brakes, and McMillan trying to hang it around the outside, does so with contact. Jordan Ross turned by Mackay. His day, donezo.
Oh, that was, yeah, McMillan's actually either serving a slowdown or trying to redress a position that unfortunately can't be redressed now. But McMillan rather rudely slammed the door on Jordan Ross coming out of the second corner, and now Jordan has paid the price.
Talk about big gainers out of that was Stephen Varga. Here's a replay of this. Coming out of turn 1, McMillan couldn't close the door on Jordan Ross. There was even a bit of contact there heading through turn number 2. And on the run to 3, there was Thomas McMillan holding that outside line. He was not going to let that one go. And he's just over the curb. Bang, there's a little bit of contact there. That is a racing incident there. These were two fighting so hard between each other to try and make it work, and it just didn't pay off in the end. Brett Loxton, though, at the front of the field, he's got the 1 second gap that he has been so desperately looking for, and he is clear here in the final stages of this race. No changes, though, but it's that battle. Varga ran wide at Lepangle, trying to get back at Brad Ratu. Can't quite do it into the final chicane.
I'm just riding on board with Marlon McMullen to see if he's still fuel saving. He's doing well to keep up with Haber, but Haber has unfortunately lost the toe to Gilliam, so it's going to be difficult for them to salvage a podium from this.
It very much will do. Andrew Gilliam, well, McMillan's come in to make a stop. He may have caught damage off of that incident, but Andrew Gilliam and Brady Myers we focus on for the final spots on the podium, on the brakes. Left, right chicane coming up, and they're not quite in position just yet. Gilliam's got to get within 2 tenths, and he just isn't at the moment. Harley Haber's 1.2 back, and he's got no progress to move forward. And right now, you feel that second pack that is forming is all about, really, Marlon McMullen and the fuel save game. He won't want to go out there and attack because he's just thinking about one number, and that's the one with his gauge, which is very close to hitting empty.
Absolutely, but he'll have that fine-tuned. Oh, look at Kyle Stokes, very deep on the brakes. So I wonder if that's potentially with Marlon lifting and coasting, or whether that Evolution Racing Team Commodore is genuinely a beast under the brakes.
Well, that is just still to be seen as Varga holds off Mackay through Lepangle, and he's got the entire train behind him. It stretches all the way back to Liam Wild in 18th position as they look to push. Also, big shout out to Jet Bennett at the moment in 19th, started 41st, having a fantastic run here to start his season off. That's great to see from him. But for the moment anyway, no looks then as Gilliam stuck within 4 tenths of a second here of Brady Myers. Is he just waiting here for lap 34 to tick over?
He could be. Unfortunately, Tom Freer is waiting for a slowdown to clear, and he loses a ton of positions just from that slowdown.
And he drops right to the back of the train, so that will hurt the hyperdrive driver, and he will not be too pleased with that one. He's not had the best week. He crashed out after 3 laps at Monza in the main event and can't do too much more about that, so he was looking for maybe something more than just 19th or 18th position, which is a gain of 1 place over this field, but for the time being, Brett Loxton in control of this. But once more, it is Haber and McMullen who are currently the closest inside your top 10 at the moment. They're looking all over, trying to find themselves a chance to maybe just get onto the back of Andrew Gilliam. The gap has remained 1.2, but Haber outbreaks himself at Lapangle. This could be the chance that McMullen has been waiting for, but again, he just doesn't get any drive off the exit, which the Mark 1 car seemingly is going Mark 5 with.
Yeah, you can say that, and of course Haber's so good under the brakes. McMullen's options are starting to run out if he wants to make a pass. I also noticed Stephen Varga and James McKee getting very, very close into the hairpin. Looks like McKee's got a little... No, he did have a run on Varga, but it looks like that won't eventuate just yet.
No, it won't, and that is, of course, the battle for 12th position behind Brad Rattu, who's up 15 places to 11th, and he's just not close enough. He's 3 seconds back of Blake Purdy, hoping something happens to one of the drivers inside of the top 10. 5 laps to go when they next hit the line, and these drivers are now trying to work out every little nuance. Kyle Stokes probably wanting to get a move on, as is Griffin Gardner. They all did 36 2s and 3s. In fact, Griffin Gardner was the fastest man in the train that last time by, with another massive lockup coming up there from Marlon McMullen. That will not be doing the tyres much good.
No, but they won't be on those tyres for much longer, so you've got to make them work now.
You have to make them work. Varga again under pressure here from James Mackay, who's been looking left, looking right, looking up, looking down. He's even been looking slantways, in the words of Willy Wonka. He's trying every which way to make a move, and he just cannot quite find the way that makes the magic happen. So what can Mackay do? Is it again going to be another run coming out into the hairpin? Blake Purdy's had himself a little go past Nick Cummings, who's had himself a slowdown penalty. So Nick Cummings drops the position as well as they go on the brakes into the hairpin once again. And again, another great run from the Mark 1 cars. They're so good in that first gear.
Yeah, absolutely. Varga doing a pretty good job to hold on here, but you can tell that he is the cork in this very angry bottle right now. Mackay has proven to be a lot faster than arguably Stephen Varga in this race at the very least. Kinman waiting in tow for something to happen. Of course, he doesn't want to get involved with Mackay. Being teammates, he'll want to try and help him here and only pick up the scraps only when he's able to. But he's got but Mackay has a decent run on Varga. Still not enough. That traction from the Mark 1 car, absolutely phenomenal. It's going to have to be under brakes.
Very firmly defending at the moment, and there's Jamie Stovold and Brian Borg and Liam Wild and Tom Freer. They're all there wanting to just pick up some scraps. Hope that there's going to be positions here. Haber under pressure now. Has McMullen saved his number? Because all of a sudden that gap is now 0.2 of a second. Just a car length separating them as they make their way towards the right and left with 5 laps to go. The third chicane under the overpass, and into that right left they go, and Harley Haber once more able to just stretch his legs in the mid-speed, and McMullen just has to be patient as he looks for any opportunities to strike and gain one more, which he so really badly wants. On the brakes they go. Stokes looking at a very wide outside line, pick up the run off of the exit, and Kyle Stokes now suddenly within a car length.
Well, this is the opportunity he's been waiting so patiently for. He's done so well to keep his head on his shoulders. So now he's got a chance to potentially grab a top 5. He's got some great straight line speed with McMullen, but doesn't really have enough to do to make a pass just yet. Oh, big twitch from McMullen. This could be Stokes' chance. No, can't quite get it off the chicane there.
Couldn't quite make it happen, and they're all the way out to the wall to make sure that nobody is going down the inside. That is brilliant heads-up driving. It's almost serpentine like you'd see at Indianapolis, but just taking a look a little bit further behind, look at the train, which involves Stephen Varga. Varga has lost the position to James Mackay at last through the final chicane on the brakes into turn 1, and Mackay chance to break away. Car on exit as well, and that is Jordan Ross, who's a lap down, who inserts himself in all of this, but he very graciously pulls over, lets everyone go through and says, I'll just join the back, I don't need to fight for any of this.
Now that was a very impressive and brave pass from Mackay around the outside of the chicane. Varga tried to defend it, but just did not have the overspeed and could not fight Mackay's straight line speed and late braking into the chicane, despite having the non-optimal line.
Well, didn't have the optimal line, did not stop James Mackay. He gave everything and got what he wanted. Little mistake from Brett Loxton at the front of the field. He drifts it a little wide. Is the pressure telling with about 3 laps to go? You talk about sim racing events that have happened here at Montreal. Everyone harkens back to Kazuki Umeshima and the former iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. 3 laps to go, bang into the wall of champions. Goodbye, maiden victory. Victory never came
McMullen on the outside.
Look at this one. Here's Marlon McMullen trying to make the move, trying to take a page out of the Mackay playbook, but he cannot get it done. And that's great defending, but this will just accordion up concertina the pack as they now all battle. Kyle Stokes looking all over, trying to make a move. 3 laps to go as they cross the line and cannot get it done into 1.
Oh, that could have ended in such disaster. They're going to bottleneck a little bit here. No, a little wide from Haber. If McMullen can get the traction, no, not quite. That Mark 1 still really good off that corner. Still has to tuck him behind. His chance is coming. He's starting to wear down Haber. Haber, I think, is on rather old tyres compared to these guys, and it looks like the pace he had at the start of the race isn't quite as good now that McMullen has unleashed the shackles on the number 85 car.
Remember, Harley Haber tried to make the undercut. He was one of the first drivers to come down in and make the stop. The only driver who got in ahead of him was, surprisingly, James Mackay, who's there in 12th position. So Haber having to defend. Eyes on 2nd and 3rd, though, because look at Gilliam. All of a sudden, that gap was up to about 0.6 of a second. He's pulled that right back, and he's in position here to say, Brady, I'm going to challenge you right until the checkered. On the brakes they go, into Lepangle. No chance yet of making a move. Andrew Gilliam, though, tries to open up a nose down the inside. He doesn't quite get it, and he won't have the run now to the chicane. Gilliam is as close as ever to 2nd.
I just noticed through the hairpin that Brady Myers needed to have a second stab on the brakes to get the car turned in. So it looks like those fronts and the understeer is starting to hurt him now. So that could be the opportunity for Gilliam to try and get on. Gilliam's car looks so well planted, just everywhere he puts it, while Brady looks like he's really having to fight it.
He is having to fight, but just a little bit wide through that chicane. Costs the run to turn number 1. Popsicle sticks, 2 laps to go here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And now everybody is fighting for 1 more position, 1 more place. Is there anything that we've got left? Now Varga under pressure. There's Kinman and Stovall and Borg and Wild. And there's a slowdown for Mackay. And Mackay will be ruining it, because he knows he got away and he was trying to get 1 more, and he's not going to get it on Nick Cummings. On the brakes he goes. He's lost 3 positions because of it, and here's the 4th as Brian Borg looks to the inside, and he's going to get it.
And Mackay, huge wheel. Oh, how did they keep it out of the wall? That looked like it was going to be a disaster. But Mackay has now gone to the back of the... around the outside. But Hamilton and Vettel-esque around the outside. He gets it done. But he's gone to the back of the train that he was clear of him. He was done. He was fine. But he made the mistake and now has paid a huge price for that little misjudgment.
He was too busy trying to race Nick Cummings. He lost everything because of it. Big defensive line taken then in 5th position, Wide goes Harley Haber. McMullen had to defend. Kyle Stokes may have the run now. He's tucked up underneath, and surely he's got to open up the package and say, this is surely got to be the chance. But the draft's not helping. He will get double toe. And look at this. They're all to the inside. He's got to go the long way round. Haber's going to give the draft now over to Kyle Stokes, who backs out of it and can't make the move. Can't get into line there as McMullen, as now he costs himself potentially the chance on the final lap to pick up 4th position. Disaster for him. Here's Andrew Gilliam looking at turn number 1. Cannot quite get there though. Battle for 2nd. Opens up the door at 2 with contact, and they hold it. They hold it. But now to 3 and 4 they go, and still nothing there for Gilliam. He's now taking any sort of gap. Even if it's the 5%, he will try and make it happen. Even if it's the 1%, he will try and make it happen. But all the while, Brett Loxton tries to pull away here in Montreal. McMullen still under pressure. Kyle Stokes may look at turn number 5. Does he have a chance down the inside? No, he does not. So he will have to play the waiting game, as does Griffin Gardner at the moment. But look at this. Run on the outside. Not quite there. Couldn't pick up the run. No chances. No chances still for Gilliam, who's probably waiting for the final corner or a mistake. And this is calm now from Brady Myers. Good run, but Gilliam slightly better. Very much better over the curbs is Gilliam's car. Loxton heads himself to Lepangle. He will have 2 corners to go. On the brakes, defended hard by Brady Myers, and looking to pick the run-up off the exit then is going to be Andrew Gilliam. But I think he's running out of time, as is the secondary train, which is trying to go. Huge wiggle from Kyle Stokes. He will not have anything to work on, but Brett Loxton will make his way to the wall of champion chicane. He will look to cross the line, and Brett Loxton, you are the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Brett Loxton wins it as they will drag race for second, and Andrew Gilliam is short by a few thousand, and that will hurt as Kyle Stokes defends it against Griffin Gardner. What fantastic racing as it's still on for the 11th position. Nick Cummings under pressure.
It looks like he'll just hold on, and Stephen Varga will somehow salvage positions out of that very angry pack. They didn't let him breathe from that safety car restart, so great job. Greg Sharp looks like he's going to follow Jet Bennett, and an impressive 18th must be said. So 19th for Greg Sharp. James McKee down in 20th position, and he will be absolutely devastated because he deserves so much more.
So much more indeed, with everyone though over the line in the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC series. This is how the opening round of the championship finished here at Montreal. It was Brett Loxton who picked up the victory in 1 hour, 1 minute and 56 seconds. He did so by 3.2 over Brady Myers, who held off Andrew Gilliam in the end by just a shade under 1/10 of a second. Harley Haber gets 4th ahead of Marlon McMullen in 5th. Kyle Stokes gets 6th position up 3, as was Griffin Gardner. Jack Boyd gets 8th.
In 9th place, we had Blake Purdy and then Brad Ratu, who did end up cracking the top 10 from 26, so plus 16 for the Exto Gaming car. I think he's pretty happy doing some donuts, whether or not they were intentional. We'll get Brad to explain that. So Nick Cummings, an exciting race in 11th place. Stephen Varga holds on very well for 12th place. David Kimmon, a quiet one from 20th to 13th. Then we have Jamie Stovelo from 30th to 14th. Excellent drive from him. Then we have Brian Borg, a quiet race from him into 15th. Tom Freer rounding out 16th.
Liam Wilde gained 6 positions of his own on the back of that train to get to 17th. Jet Bennett, a storming run of 23 positions gained. He gets 18th overall. Greg Sharp finishes this one off in 19th, with James Mackay dropping all the way back to 20th. When all was said and done, he was looking at a top 10 with 3 laps to go. Mitchell Bales gets 21st with David Sanford 22nd. Matt Morris will get to 23rd. Brenton O'Brien climbs up 22 of his own.
Then we have Damian Johnston for the Gone Rogue Motorsports, a quiet race from him, rounding out 25th. Scott Gamble in his first race for Hyperdriver, very solid gain from 42nd to 26th, and also right behind him, Michael Spithill. He stayed out pretty late to make his pit stop. He went up from 45th to 27th, and then last car on the lead lap, we have Scott Clark from 37th to 28th. Then the first of our cars a lap down, we have Robert Hooper and Gavin Cox rounding out 30.
Got 31st and 32nd, Christian Smart and Thomas McMillan. From here on in, though, drivers multiple laps down or failed to finish the race. Those include Rob Harris, Jordan Ross, Stephen Kokoschka had a terrible day right from minute 1. Matt Stratford failed to finish, as did Claire Mason. This also includes Cooper Webster, who will be ruining it after having a pretty solid start to the race. Bruce Kiley failed to finish, as did Cameron Dance.
Then we have Mitch McLeod, and then an unfortunate retirement for Taliantich, who's normally very good at just bringing races home. Sean Thompson, who I've said has had a pretty interesting run of form of late, unfortunately unable to. That ends tonight with a rather unfortunate end. Joel Kenton in 44th, then Jacob Knight, Michael Barron, Scotty McQueen, and we'll go to the end of the field here. Jason Hyde, Adam Zatinger, Gary Cooper, and flashy boy Bo Albert did not take to the grid.
No, he did not. But that is everyone across the line. We're going to step aside very briefly here on the iRacing Sports Network. When we come back, post-race coverage brought to you at the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC series. We'll be going through driver interviews, and also we'll be crowning the fans' driver of the day. Don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC Australian Touring Car Series. And my goodness gracious me, we've had some brilliant racing up and down the field. Every part of the pack was battling, but ultimately there were victors up and down the field in terms of positions gained and also for racing action. But one person will be an overall winner, Brett Loxton, proving once again that he has been absolutely fantastic. Brett, you can't ask for anything better than that. Not only did you lead almost every lap of that race, not only were you not challenged for a position at any point in that race, but also, according to what we've seen, no incident point.
Yeah, that's it. It's a great turnaround come off last season, which wasn't so great, so it was good to put one in the bag.
You managed to put one in the bag, of course, a former champion yourself. What is it about this Montreal circuit that seems to appeal to your driving style?
I honestly have no idea, but I don't mind a good curb jump.
He doesn't mind a good curb jump at all, but you're now starting to think about the way that this championship is going to form for you. You've got yourself the first round in the bag. You've got yourself this sprint championship. There's the Enduros that crop up through all stages of the season as well. Looking at Enduros coming up pretty soon, how are you sort of feeling knowing that there's going to be 2 lots of Enduros and that there's going to be a lot of time to get time in with a lot of partners to work with?
Should be pretty good. I mean, I haven't got a partner lined up for Scops yet, so either way, it's good practice leading into that.
Well, it's good practice leading in, but before we let you go, Brett, any shout-outs or sponsors after a big race victory?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Zuva Hosting and Domains, Kimmy's Rural Fencing, and MP Custom Design and Fabrication.
Well, that's no problems at all. Brett Loxton picks up the big race victory. Finishing off in second was Brady Myers. He's standing by with Ross Rizzo.
Brady, you really gave Brett a run for his money in the early stages of the race, but it looks like he was able to run away with it. Then, of course, you had the young and fiery Andrew Gilliam chasing you down on those fresher tyres. How was your race from your perspective?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Brett was able to get away quite easily, and I wasn't prepared to force the issue, so I was just quite content to hang in and see what happened with the random safety car. But no, Andrew did really well. It was a really good race with him. I enjoyed that.
Well, second's an excellent result for you to start your season off. What are your plans for the season? And also, given the bombshell that was dropped recently, what are your plans team-wise?
Pretty sad day, sad week this week with TTL closing its doors. But I don't know, just we'll see. I'm just sort of taking it easy and seeing what happens with teams and stuff. But now I'm just enjoying my racing and see how we go.
And that's absolutely the important thing. You put your name in a good light tonight with a fantastic drive to second place. Is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I just want to give a special shout out to TTL. Obviously, they took me on last year and taught me a great deal about racing and how to be smart and how to be better. And I'm just really grateful for all the opportunities they gave me. And I'm just
how to not blow your engine as well.
Also that too. Yeah, but just very massive thanks to Richard and Trotman, Maloney, all the guys. They were brilliant, and wish nothing but the best for them going forward.
Right, some very kind words from Brady, and on behalf of us here, I think we ought to thank TTL for their contribution to Australian sim racing very much, and you will be missed from the sim racing community. But we will see the individual drivers around in the AOSC, in official series, and Scops series. So we'll cheer you guys on in the chapter of your next sim racing journey. Jake, do you have anyone else you want to bring in for a chat?
Oh, of course we do. And Gilliam, in the middle of his conversation with a few other drivers, we just grabbed him quickly for interview. He comes home in third position. Andrew, let's just talk about the final few laps for a moment. You had the freshest tyres out of everyone. You were trying to give everything to give Brady Myers a little challenge, but ultimately you just fell that little bit short, just needed an extra 10.
Yeah, Brady just had good runs out of a couple corners, which I didn't, and I just couldn't keep the pressure quite on him. And then those last couple of laps, I was just when I saw that gap going back to Harley, I thought, oh, I could be a bit more aggressive over these curbs. So I just went ham for those last couple laps.
Certainly went ham, but let's talk about going ham in the mid part of that race, because it was a powder keg of action in the middle of the field. You had the likes, say, of Harley Haber, Marlon McMullen, Kyle Stokes was in there, Jack Boyd, the likes of Nick Cummings and Blake Purdy. Everyone was looking to try and make that push through. Everyone was so close in qualifying, but then coming into that race, those 10 laps of green flag running to start, just how difficult was it to sort of compose yourself and know when the right time to attack was?
It's a tough one. Like, probably before the lights went green, like, my blood pressure was through the roof. It was the hardest I've ever driven. I was so nervous, like the whole race, just especially with those slowdowns. You go through the chicanes, and then you're just like looking up at your screen, fingers crossed that you don't get a slowdown, and then like, whew, all right, I can keep going. Yeah, it makes it very difficult to compose yourself, especially when you're fighting like bumper to bumper with the likes of Brady Myers.
Well, fighting bumper to bumper you were, but we head over to a different type of format. We head enduros for the next round, or the next few rounds of the championship we'll be looking for. So a lot of variety coming up, a lot of tracks that maybe we're starting to see that development of you. Just how important has AOSC been in terms of that development for you, in terms of moving up not only in this field, but the Scops field as well?
Well, it gives an opportunity to race bumper to bumper with everyone at their biggest potential before the Scops race. So it really does give you an opportunity to see where you're at, and gives everyone a chance to sort of get that first race out, know what to expect. And it is, yeah, very important for the development of a solid, clean Scops race, I feel.
Well, before we let you go, Mr. Gilliam, any shout-outs or sponsors?
Yeah, I'd like to give a massive shout-out to MXTV and the Pursuit Sim Racing for giving me another brilliantly set-up car. The support we have in our team is phenomenal, and I can't thank the guys at PSR enough for giving me the opportunity to race for them. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, no worries at all. Andrew Gilliam getting a third position in the end. But Ross, final thoughts as we depart ourselves away from Montreal.
Oh, what a great way to start the championship. That was incredibly exciting. Unfortunately, there was a lot of attrition, but we definitely saw our fair share of really, really awesome racecraft and some very daring driving, trying to make positions. A fantastic drive from Brett, Brady, and Andrew to get onto the podium. And there'll be other guys further down the field that will want to make up for, I guess, missed opportunities for tonight.
Well, that is going to be all that we have time for here this evening. So a massive thanks to Parramatta Isuzu Ute and also West End Mazda, who helped sponsor this AOSC broadcast. Of course, Jay Kennedy has been there behind the cameras. Ross Rizzo has been the man on my right-hand side. And I, of course, am Jake Sperry here, brought to you by SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. Well, Brett's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be here tonight. But it's a whole different ballgame. It's a long championship. And if AOSC has taught us anything, it's that anything can and often will happen. We will see you in a few weeks' time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?